Before Texas was a state, before it was a symbol, before it was even American, it was a place caught between empires, and in 1836, Texas didn't quietly join the United States. It fought its way there. This is the story of the Texas Revolution, the war that created Texas. In the early 1800s, Texas belonged to Mexico. Mexico had just won independence from Spain and inherited a massive, fragile territory. Texas was remote, underpopulated, difficult to control. So Mexico made a risky decision. It invited American settlers, called Anglos, to move in. At first, it worked, but two cultures began to collide. The settlers brought more than families. They brought slavery, English-language U.S. legal customs. Mexico outlawed slavery. Texas settlers ignored it. Mexico centralized power. Texans wanted local control. This wasn't just rebellion, it was a breakdown of trust. And when General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna tightened control, Texas pushed back. In October 1835, Mexican troops demanded a small cannon back from the town of Gonzales. The response? A flag that read, "Come and take it." The Texas Revolution had begun. In early 1836, Texian forces occupied a mission in San Antonio, the Alamo. Santa Anna surrounded it. For 13 days, the defenders held out. Then came the final assault. The Alamo fell. Every defender was killed, but the loss became something more powerful than a victory. A rallying cry, "Remember the Alamo!" Weeks later, another disaster. At Goliad, over 300 Texian prisoners were executed after surrendering. The revolution seemed doomed. But Texas had one advantage left: time. On April 21, 1836, General Sam Houston launched a surprise attack near the San Jacinto River. The battle lasted just 18 minutes. Santa Anna was captured. The war was over. Texas was free. Texas became an independent republic. 9 years later, it joined the United States. But the revolution left scars. Questions about slavery, expansion, and power didn't disappear. They followed Texas into America. The Texas Revolution wasn't just about independence. It was about identity. And that identity still shapes Texas today. Texas was free, at least on paper, but independence didn't bring peace. It brought uncertainty. In 1836, Texas declared itself the Republic of Texas. It had a flag, a president, an army. What it didn't have was stability. The war had devastated the land. The government was broke before it even began. Mexico refused to recognize Texas independence. To Mexico, Texas was still a rebellious province. To Texas, war wasn't over. It was just paused. For nearly a decade, Texas lived with one eye on the border. Mexican forces launched raids. Texans prepared for reinvasion. Settlers lived with rifles near their doors. The revolution had ended, but the threat hadn't. Sam Houston knew Texas couldn't survive alone forever. The question wasn't if Texas would join the United States. It was when, and at what cost. Most Texans wanted annexation immediately. Washington hesitated, not because of Texas, because of slavery. Texas was a slaveholding republic. Admitting it would tip the balance of power between free and slave states. Northern politicians feared expansion of slavery. Southern politicians saw opportunity. Texas became a political landmine. Its independence turned into a national argument. What made Texas dangerous wasn't its size, it was what it represented. Expansion, slavery, manifest, destiny. Everything America was arguing about, Texas embodied it. Texas wasn't just a former Mexican territory, it was a test case. Could America keep expanding without tearing itself apart? The answer would come later. In 1845, Texas joined the United States. Almost immediately, another war followed, the Mexican-American War. Mexico never accepted the loss of Texas. The border was disputed, blood was spilled, and America pushed west, fast. California, the Southwest, the Pacific. Texas opened the door. The Texas Revolution didn't end in 1836. Its consequences stretched for decades. It accelerated U.S. expansion, sectional tension. The road to the Civil War. Texas entered the Union as a symbol of independence. It helped pull the nation toward its greatest internal conflict. Texas remembers its revolution the way nations remember founding wars, not as a footnote, but as identity. That's why Texas flew its own flag, calls itself a republic, guards its mythology fiercely. Because Texas wasn't just added to America. It arrived through force. The Texas Revolution wasn't a clean morality tale. It was courage and contradiction, freedom and expansion, survival mixed with ambition. It created Texas, but it also reshaped the United States. The story of Texas isn't just a regional story, it's an American one. A reminder that this country didn't grow quietly. It grew through conflict, compromise, and consequences that still echo today. I'm Clyde Chester, and this is History of United States, where America's past explains who we are now.